Salut les gars and welcome back to my channel.
So basically I was living a pretty awesome life in Sydney in Australia, and then I decided it was time to spread my wings, so I left and flew to Europe. Went on a typical European summer backpacking holiday and then just never left. And now I make videos. So welcome to my channel.
Alright, so today I'm going to be listing a few books that I think are good for beginners. They are the first 5 books that I ever read when I was learning French. Now, a lot of the books that are on my list are actually just English books translated into French. However, I do think it's a great idea when you're first starting to learn a language to read books that you already know the storyline of, or that you've already read in your language, so then when you're reading it in a foreign language, you already know what's happening, so you can kind of guess the vocabulary and it makes things a bit easier. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly explain the level system when it comes to testing your level in a language. So the CEFRL, which is the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, is a tool developed by the Council of Europe, an organization that kind of sets out like a global scale in order to be able to define your level in a language. So the A level is known as the basic user level, so a beginner level, and it goes A1 and A2. So A1 is the first level, and an A1 level person can understand and use familiar everyday expressions and very basic phrases aimed at the satisfaction of needs of a concrete type, can introduce him or herself and others, and can ask and answer questions about personal details such as where he, she lives, people he, she knows, and things he, she has. Can interact in a simple way, provided the other person talks slowly and clearly and is prepared to help. So that's absolute basic level. That's the lowest you can be. That's when you're just starting off, and then you can move up to A2 level, and an A2 level person can understand sentences, frequently used expressions related to areas of most immediate relevance. Example, very basic personal and family information, shopping, local geography, employment. Can communicate in simple and routine tasks requiring a simple and direct exchange of information on familiar and routine matters. Can describe in simple terms aspects of his or her background, immediate environment, and matters in areas of immediate need. Yes, so that's a rough outline of the expectation for a beginner learner. And if you're in these categories, then you should be able to read, or at least try and read, the books that I'm about to list. Alright, so book number 1 is Charlie et la Chocolaterie, aka Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, I'm not going to bother explaining what this is about because you've probably already seen the movie or read the book. But yes, this is a really good book to read because obviously the vocab's very simple, there's not really much going on, and it also talks about like the categories of things that are in the A1 and A2 level, talking about family, personal things, and blah 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 blah. So that makes for a very good book to begin with. The next one is Fantastique Maître Renard, aka Mr. Fantastic Fox. As you can tell, I'm a bit of a fan of Roald Dahl. Yeah, I always read his books translated into other languages when I'm learning because obviously, like I said, I already know the storyline. And then so when I'm trying to read it in a foreign language, it doesn't end up being too hard. And then the well-known Le Petit Prince, aka The Little Prince. So this one's actually a French book written by a French author, very well known. And this one's not only just aimed at children. I'd say it's a tiny bit harder than the first 2 books, but you can always give it a try. Then next is Astérix, also Astérix et Obélix. That's also French, so it's actually a comic, and it ended up being so popular that they ended up making many films, lots of different films about it too. So it's just about these 2 Gauls that were living in ancient times, something rather, and they just run around doing crazy things. And yeah, so that's also good to read. And it also changes up because it's not just a classic novel. Obviously, they're comics. The next one is Nos étoiles contraires, which is The Fault in Our Stars, translated. As you can see, I like to read a lot of books that are just translated. But yeah, no, this one was good as well. This one was a tiny bit harder because obviously it's aimed at more of an adolescence audience. But yes, the storyline isn't too complex, which means the vocabulary also isn't too hard to understand. And last but not least, I wasn't sure whether or not it would really fit into the A category, but it was one of the first books I read. I had a bit of trouble reading it right at the beginning because obviously there's a lot of complex concepts in this book, but yeah, I'd say this is more of an A2, B1 level, but it is Les Aventures d'Alice au Pays des Merveilles, aka Alice in Wonderland. I mean, give it a go, and if it's not too hard, let me know in the comments because I'm interested to see whether it's really A or a B level. I'm not, yeah. As you can tell, I'm not really good at categorizing them, but yeah. Now, obviously children's books are very easy to read, so they're always good books to start off with. Also, there are such things as bilingual books, so you can buy books where one side is in English, for example, and then the other side is in French. And I have a few books like that, and it's really good because you can compare the two languages. If you don't understand a word in one language, you can read it in the other, or even not just, you don't have to buy a bilingual book, you can just buy the book in two different languages, and then usually the translations are very similar, so you can figure it out by yourself. Some tips when reading and obviously improving your language skills is what I used to do was every time I didn't know a word or whatever and I couldn't figure out the translation, I used to write it down, and then later on I would search it up in the dictionary, or I mean now everyone has phones and computers, but I used to search it up in the dictionary and then write it down, and then I would just write a big long list of vocab, and then yeah, just practice that throughout the week or whatever. And usually the same words always pop up in the same book. Yeah, that's a tip I have. If you're wondering where to buy books, I usually buy most of my books from Book Depository or Amazon because they have a lot of foreign language books. So yeah, and I find them reasonably priced, so that's good. However, if you are in Sydney, there is Abby's, the language book centre next to Town Hall, next to the station, and they have an entire level up on the top, and it's just an entire section of language books. And I used to always spend my weekends there because literally they have a French aisle, they have a German aisle, like just every language you could ever imagine, and it is book heaven, foreign book heaven. Foreign language book heaven. So sorry to be disappointing and to list a lot of books that are just translated into French, but if you have any other book recommendations, let me know in the comment down below, because maybe I've read them, maybe not, or maybe I should read them. But yeah, I'm sorry if I'm like kind of jittery. It is really cold right now, and I was like, I'm not gonna wear a sweater, but oh, it's freezing, but it's sunny, but it's freezing. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say ciao amigos and bis bald.